The bass hits you in the chest before you hear it properly. That's the first thing. Not a sound, a physical event. Your ribs registering something before your brain has processed it. And then the crowd moves and the lights drop and something shifts in you that you will spend the rest of your life trying to explain to people who weren't there. This is rave culture. 8 levels of it. From the 19-year-old who just heard their first 4-to-the-floor kick drum in a sticky-floored club at midnight, all the way to the person behind the decks who put all of this in motion. Let's go. Level 1, the first timer. You went because your friend made you go. That's almost always how it starts. You didn't know the lineup, you didn't have an outfit. You wore whatever you'd wear to any night out, and within 30 minutes of being inside, you understood that was wrong. Not because anyone judged you, but because the people around you were dressed for something that you had not fully anticipated. The venue is dark in a specific way, not the darkness of a room with the lights off. An intentional darkness punctured by strobes and lasers doing things you have never seen light do in person. The sound system is not a speaker in the corner. It is a wall. The bass frequencies are doing something to your body that you have no framework for, and your body is responding before your brain gives permission. You spend the first hour near the edge, watching. Then someone hands you a drink and a track drops that hits a frequency that bypasses your self-consciousness entirely, and you move. Not dancing in the way you think of dancing, something more instinctive than that. You come home at 4 in the morning with ringing ears and dirty trainers and the specific feeling of having been somewhere that the normal world does not have access to. You are going again next weekend. You already know this. Level 2, the regular. You have a system now. You pre-drink properly. You know how to dress for 6 hours of dancing in a venue with no ventilation. You know to bring chewing gum and a portable charger and to wear trainers, never boots, because boots are for people who haven't done this enough times to know better. You have opinions about music. Specific ones. You know the difference between house and techno. You know which genres you respond to and which ones leave you cold. You have started following DJ pages and checking lineups before you commit to a night. The lineup matters now. A year ago, any night out was a night out. Now you have standards. You know the venue. Not just its name, its layout, where the sound is best on the dance floor, which corner gets too hot by 2 in the morning, which bar has the shorter queue. You know the security team by face. You know which nights have the right crowd and which ones draw the wrong energy. This knowledge was not given to you. You accumulated it across dozens of nights and several mistakes, and one memorable incident involving a pair of boots that you do not speak about anymore. Your friends outside the scene think you go out too much. You think they don't go out enough. Both assessments are probably accurate. Level 3, the Raver proper. This is the level where it stops being a hobby and starts being a culture you belong to. You have found your genre. It found you, really. You didn't choose it the way you choose a playlist. It chose you in a specific room at a specific moment when a specific track dropped and something in your nervous system recognized it as the thing you had been looking for. Maybe it's drum and bass, the 200 beats per minute propulsion of it, the breaks and the bass weight and the way it feels like organized chaos. Maybe it's techno, the relentless 4/4 machinery, the way a good techno DJ builds pressure for 40 minutes before releasing it and you feel that release in your entire body. Maybe it's garage or jungle or hard trance or something else entirely. The genre is almost secondary. The feeling is not secondary. The feeling is the whole point. You have your people now, not just friends who go raving, ravers, people who understand without explanation why you drove 3 hours to stand in a field in the rain at 6 in the morning for a set that lasted 40 minutes. People who know the difference between a good night and a great night and how rare the great ones are. People who get the specific grief of missing a legendary set because the queue was too long and you made a bad call. You have been to your first illegal event, maybe a warehouse, maybe a field. You found out the location 2 hours before it started from a number you didn't recognize, which sent you an address and nothing else. The sound system was not professional, but it was loud and it was real, and the people in that field wanted nothing from each other except to be in the same place at the same time. And that purity, the specific absence of corporate agenda, is something that a ticketed event can approximate but never fully replicate. Level 4, the scene kid. You know the history now. You went backwards. You found the records that built the genre you love. The original pressings, the white labels, the 12 inches that sold 500 copies in 1994 and are now considered foundational. You can have conversations about lineage, about which producer influenced which other producer, about the specific year and city where something important happened and why it mattered. This is not showing off. This is love, the way any deep love involves wanting to understand where the thing came from. You go to record shops, physical ones. You stand in the racks on a Saturday afternoon and you flip through the vinyl and you find things and you bring them home and you play them. And the specific ritual of that, the physical object and the needle and the dust and the warmth of an analog signal through good speakers, is different from streaming, and you know why it's different, and you could explain it for longer than most people want to listen. You have opinions about the scene that are not universally popular. You think certain events have lost something. You think the tickets are too expensive. You think certain DJs who are commercially successful now were better when fewer people knew about them. And you know this is the most annoying thing a person can say, and you say it anyway because you were there and you remember. You volunteer at events sometimes, not for money, because being part of the infrastructure of a good night, even from behind a coat check or on a door, is its own form of participation. Level 5, the promoter. You started putting on nights because you couldn't find the nights you wanted to go to. That is almost always the origin story. A gap in the local program, a genre or a vibe that isn't being served. A belief which turns out to be either accurate or catastrophically wrong depending on the first night, that you can do this better than what is currently being done. The first night loses money. This is standard. You booked a room for 150 people, 80 showed up. The bar minimum was not hit. The venue is unhappy. Your friends who said they would come did not all come. You spent 3 months planning and promoting and worrying, and the gap between your expectation and the reality is significant, and you sit in the empty room at 2 in the morning while the DJ plays to a dance floor that is technically present but spiritually disappointing, and you wonder what you have done. The second night is better. The third is better again. Word spreads the way it only spreads in this culture, which is slowly and then very fast. One person tells another person tells 10 people, and suddenly there is a queue outside the venue before the doors open and the bar minimum is hit by midnight, and the DJ is watching the room and playing to it, and the room is responding, and the thing you imagined is happening in the physical world, and that specific feeling, the gap closing between the vision and the reality, is worth every loss of the first night. You are now the person who curates what people experience, the lineup, the sound, the lighting, the capacity, the door policy, the running order. Every decision you make shapes the night someone else will remember for years. You take this seriously, more seriously than the venue owners understand, more seriously than most people on the dance floor will ever know. Level 6, the bedroom DJ. You bought the decks 18 months ago. You watched tutorials. You practiced alone in your bedroom for 6 months before you let anyone hear you, because the gap between what you wanted to sound like and what you actually sounded like was enormous, and the ego protection required to close that gap privately is the part nobody talks about. The technical skills are learnable. Beat matching, phrasing, EQ, mixing techniques. These can be practiced until they are automatic, until your hands know where to go without your brain having to direct them. The part that cannot be practiced is musical instinct, the ability to read a room, to feel where the energy is and where it wants to go, to know which track to play next, not because a formula says so, but because you have listened to enough music and danced in enough rooms that the answer arrives intuitively. You have played your first public set. It was 30 minutes at a friend's event, 3 in the morning, a room that was thinning out. The crowd that remained was tired and forgiving. You played well enough. Not transcendently well, well enough. You drove home at 5 a.m. with the specific feeling of having crossed a threshold. Not arrived. Crossed a threshold. There's a lot of road between where you are and where you want to be. You play every week, in your bedroom, in your living room, at whatever opportunities present themselves. The decks are on all the time. Your flatmates have complicated feelings about this. Level 7, the underground act. Your name is on flyers now. Not the top of the flyer, not yet, but on it. You have a following, small, specific, loyal. The people who follow you are not casual. They know your sound. They come specifically for you. They know the kind of journey you take a room on, and they want to go on it. That specificity, the small but genuine audience who actually cares rather than the large audience who vaguely recognizes your name, is worth more than it looks from the outside. You play mostly at night. That is not an exaggeration. You have a day job still because the money from DJing is not yet sufficient to replace it, and you have rent. The day job is fine, but it is not the thing. The decks are the thing. The 2 hours you play at an event you have been looking forward to for 3 weeks are the most alive you feel in any given month, and the other hours exist in relation to them. The bookings are growing. You played a party in another city last month. You are booked for a festival in the summer, a smaller stage, an afternoon slot, but a festival. Your productions are getting recognition. A label that you have respected for years expressed interest in a demo you sent them. These things are happening slowly enough that they feel incremental from the inside, but fast enough that from the outside, if anyone were watching your trajectory, it would look like acceleration. The grind is real. The politics of the scene are real. The emails that go unanswered, and the bookings that fall through, and the sound engineers who haven't set the monitors correctly, and the promoters who pay late or not at all. You absorb these things because the alternative is not doing this, and not doing this is not an option you are entertaining. Level 8, the artist. The set is 2 hours. 2 hours of your own selections, your own productions, your own reading of whatever this specific room needs tonight. You have played rooms that hold 1,000 people, 4,000. You have played an outdoor stage at a festival as the sun was coming up, which is the specific conjunction of light and music and collective exhaustion that produces the most transcendent moments the culture generates. You have played a basement in a city you had never visited before to 200 people who knew every record you played and responded to each one as if it were a gift given specifically to them, which it was. The money is real now. A fee per booking that reflects a career rather than a favor. Productions on labels with actual distribution. Residencies at venues with reputations. Your name on the top of the flyer, which seemed abstract and distant when you were practicing alone in a bedroom 18 months into your learning, which is now just the fact of where you are. The thing about this level that nobody explains adequately from the outside is that the responsibility does not get lighter with success. It gets heavier. Because now the room is bigger and the expectation is specific, and the people who came paid real money and took real time, and they are trusting you to take them somewhere. You are the infrastructure of their night, the architect of something they will remember. The selection you make at midnight when the room is at its peak and everyone is exactly where they need to be and you know the next record needs to be perfect, that moment is the whole career compressed into a single decision. You read the room, you feel where it needs to go. You reach for the record, you drop it. The room lifts, 80,000 hands, or 200, or 40 in a basement that smells like concrete and dry ice, and years of other nights just like this one. It does not matter how many. It never mattered how many. What matters is the moment. The thing that started with a bass note in your chest when you were 19 and led, improbably and incrementally and through every level in between, to here. This is why you do it. This is why everyone does it. The bass hits before you hear it. Your body knows before your brain does. It always has.